A short story Cinderella presented by English lessons for students. In former times, a rich man and his wife were the parents of a beautiful little daughter, but before she had arrived at womanhood, her dear mother fell sick and died to the grief of her husband and daughter. After a time, the little girl's father married an other lady. Now, this lady was proud and haughty and had two grown up daughters as disagreeable as herself. She could not endure her stepdaughter and she gave her the most degrading occupations and compelled her to wash the dishes and clean the stairs. When the poor girl had finished her work, she used to sit in the chimney corner amongst the cinders, which made her sisters give her the name of Cinderella. However, in her shabby clothes, Cinderella was 10 times handsomer than her sisters. It happened that the king's son sent invitations to a ball, which was to last 2 nights, and to which all the great people of the land were invited, the two sisters among the rest. This delighted them very much. They sent to engage the services of the most fashionable hairdresser, but they also called Cinderella to their aid, for she had very good taste, and she offered in the most amiable manner to arrange their heads herself. Whilst so occupied, the eldest said, Cinderella, would you like to go to the ball? Alas, said she, you are ridiculing me. I am not likely to go to the ball. You are right, replied the sister. People would be amused to see a Cinderella there. At length the long wished for evening arrived, and these proud misses stepped into their carriage and drove away to the palace. Cinderella looked after the coach as far as she could see, and then returned to the kitchen in tears, where, for the first time, she bewailed her hard and cruel lot, little dreaming that a kind fairy was at the same moment watching over her. She continued sobbing in the chimney corner until a rap at the door aroused her, and she got up to see what had caused it. She saw a beautiful woman who asked her, Hey, dear me, what are all these tears about, my child? And then Cinderella told her of all her griefs, how her sisters had gone to the ball, and how she should like to have gone also. But you shall go, exclaimed her visitor. Dry up your tears, because I am your good mother and I can help you. The fairy took Cinderella by the hand and said, Now, my dear, go into the garden and fetch me a pumpkin. Cinderella brought her immediately the best she found. Her good mother took the pumpkin and hollowed it out, leaving only the rind. She then stuck it with her wand, and the pumpkin was immediately changed into a beautiful gilt coach. She next sent Cinderella for the mouse trap, wherein were found 6 mice alive. She directed Cinderella to raise the door of the trap, and as each mouse came out, she struck it with her wand, and it was immediately changed into a beautiful horse, so that she had now 6 splendid greys for her gilt coach. The fairy was perplexed how to find a coachman, but Cinderella said, I will go and see if there is a rat in the rat trap. If there is, he will make a capital coachman. Cinderella brought the rat trap, in which there were 3 large rats. The fairy selected one, and having touched it, it was changed into a coachman. Then she touched Cinderella with her magic wand, and her clothes were instantly changed into a most magnificent ball dress. The fairy now took from her pocket a beautiful pair of elastic glass slippers, which she caused Cinderella to put on, and when she had thus completed her work and Cinderella stood before her, the fairy was much pleased and desired her to get into the carriage with all expedition. As the ball had already commenced, her good mother, however, before she took leave, strictly charged her on no account whatever to stay at the ball after the clock had struck the hour of midnight, and then added that if she stopped but a single moment beyond that time, her fine coach would again become a guard, her horse, mice, and her old clothes resume their former appearance. The arrival of so splendid an equipage as Cinderella's could not fail to attract general notice at the palace gates, and as it drove up to the marble portico, the servants in great numbers came out to see it. The king's son, to whom it was announced that an unknown princess had arrived, hastened to receive her he handed her out of the carriage and led her to the ballroom. Immediately she entered, the dancing ceased and the violins stopped playing. So much was everyone struck with the extreme beauty of the unknown princess, and the only sound heard was that of admiration. The king's son conducted her to the most distinguished place and invited her to dance. She danced with such grace that everybody was in raptures with her. When Cinderella saw that it wanted but a quarter of an hour of midnight, she left as quickly as possible. Soon the two sisters knocked at the door, and Cinderella went to open it for them. "Oh, how late you are in coming home," said Cinderella, rubbing her eyes as if just awakened. "If you had been at the ball," said one of the sisters, "you would not have been tired, for there was the most beautiful princess that ever danced, and gave us oranges and citrons." Cinderella could scarcely contain herself for joy. She asked the name of the princess, but they said it was not known, and that the king's son was therefore much distressed and would give anything he had to know who. The next evening the sisters again went to the ball, and Cinderella soon made her appearance more magnificently dressed than before. The king's son was constantly at her side, saying the most agreeable things, so that Cinderella did not notice how the time passed, and had quite forgotten her good mother's words. She was startled by the first stroke of midnight. She rose very hastily and fled as lightly as a fawn, the prince following, though he could not overtake her. In her flight she let one of her glass slippers fall, which the prince picked up with the greatest care. Cinderella arrived at home out of breath, without carriage or servants, in her shabby clothes, and had nothing remaining of all her former magnificence except one of her little glass slippers. When the two sisters returned from the ball, Cinderella asked if they had enjoyed themselves, and if the beautiful lady had again been there. They told her that she had been there, but that when the clock struck 12 she had started off so quickly that she let one of her pretty glass slippers fall off, that the prince, who quickly followed her, had picked it up, and had done nothing but look at it all the rest of the evening, and that he was evidently very much in love with the beautiful creature to whom it belonged, and would spare no pains to find her. This was indeed the case, for a few days after, the prince caused it to be published with the sound of trumpets that he would marry the lady whose foot would exactly fit the slipper. So the sleeper was first tried on by all the princes, then by all the duchies, and next by all the ladies belonging to the court, but in vain. It was then taken to the two sisters, who tried every possible way of getting their foot into it, but without success. Cinderella, who was looking at them and now recognized her sleeper, said laughingly, "Let me see if it will fit me." The sisters immediately began to laugh and to ridicule her, but the gentleman who had been appointed to try on the sleeper, having looked attentively at Cinderella and finding her very pretty, said she was quite right in her request, for he was ordered to try it on to everybody. He desired her to sit down and at once found that the sleeper would go on her foot without any trouble, and indeed fitted her like wax. The astonishment of the sisters was very great, but still greater when Cinderella drew from her pocket the fellow sleeper, and to the great delight of the gentleman, placed it upon her other foot. Thanks for listening. For new videos, don't forget to subscribe my channel. And if you like my videos, please share and like.